Undead elves, cursed presents, and blood splash across the snow. It's time to bring horror home for the holidays. What's up, everybody? My name is Brad. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to spread some holiday magic, some holiday joy and blood and guts and gore. I've got my Santa hat on, which is really hot, and I've got not my bookshelf decorated, but my book pile decorated. The ever-growing pile of books decorated with some Christmas lights. It's eventually going to get so high, it's just going to collapse on me, and I will never be found again. We're here to talk about some horror books, some spooky books that are holiday themed, Christmas themed, for you to read this holiday season coming up close to Christmas. I've only read one of these books I'm going to talk about today, so we'll talk about that one first, and the other ones are ones that are on my to-be-read list, ones I will hopefully be reading sometime soon. Definitely one I'm going to read for sure this Christmas season. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. We're going to talk about the book I have read first, which is NOS Fatu by Joe Hill. And I've read a few Joe Hill books. I think this one is by far my favorite one. It's definitely the most Stephen Kingish book out of Joe Hill's catalog, I believe. Definitely feels like his daddy kind of helped wrote this one. I don't think he did, but it feels like something Stephen King would write. And it's got one of my favorite villains I've ever read. Charlie Manx is the villain in here. He drives this Rolls Royce Wraith. It's really cool. And he's almost like this. He's kind of a vampire, but not really. He's not a blood-sucking vampire, but he kind of sucks like the life force and the soul out of children. He kidnaps children. He takes them to this realm, this place called Christmas Land, which is where the holiday theme comes into this one. And if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've read it. I think our main character, she encountered Charlie Manx as a child, and now she's grown up. I think Charlie Manx kidnaps her child. She's trying to get him back, if I'm not mistaken. And it has like these bits of magical realism in it. There's this like covered bridge that the main character rides her bike across. It's like if she hits a certain speed, she like gets teleported to any destination she can kind of have in mind where she wants to go. It's a really cool book. Like I said, it's my favorite Joe Hill book. A perfect book to read for this holiday season with Christmas Land, Charlie Manx. There's like giant Christmas trees and ornaments and all kinds of stuff. And Charlie Manx, like I said, definitely one of my all-time favorite villains. I really like that character a lot. But definitely check out NOS Fatu by Joe Hill. Now, all the other ones I'm going to talk about, I have not read, and this is the only physical book I actually have a copy of, and I am going to read this one. This is Candy Cane Kills by Brian McCauley. I just bought this one recently. It's part of the Killer VHS series from Shortwave Publishing. I think they're all kind of pulpy, feels like 80s horror VHSs you'd get. But this one sounds really cool, and I dig the back. Made me laugh. If you can see the picture, if it'll focus, where it looks like the killer has sharpened a candy cane to a point, which I don't know if anybody else did that as a kid and tried to like stab their brothers and sisters or their friends or whatever with the sharp candy canes. Maybe just me, I don't know. But this one is about a family that goes away for the holidays to this remote cottage for Christmas. And of course, it was the site of some horrific crime in the past. And there's this legendary killer on the loose named Candy Cane that's slashing through the snow with a very long, naughty list. This one sounds fun. Pulpy 80s kind of horror is what I'm expecting this to be. I am going to try to read this one probably next week for Christmas. And it's not very long. It's about 140 pages or so. Yeah, 145 pages. This one sounds like a lot of fun. This is Candy Cane Kills by Brian McCauley. Another one is The Visitor by Sergio Gomez. This one is about a group of people, and they get stranded at this roadside diner. This big kind of blizzard storm comes in, and then there happens to be this visitor. If you can tell by the cover, maybe a little gray man is there visiting as well, and sort of mayhem and madness and death ensues. Alien horror Christmas theme sounds really cool, and this is kind of off topic, but not really. Back in October, I watched on Hulu. I think it's called No One Can Save You. I believe it's a alien home invasion horror movie, and there's like one line of dialogue throughout the entire movie, and it was great. And I want to read more horror books like that, more alien horror books like that. So if you have any recommendations, if you've seen that movie and you have any ideas of a book that's sort of similar to that, let me know down in the comments. I'm hoping The Visitor is sort of similar to that one, of an alien wreaking havoc in a roadside diner where everyone's snowed in and can't get away, sort of the one setting type of story location. That one sounds like a lot of fun. And it's really short. I think that one's only about 80, 90 pages or so. That's The Visitor by Sergio Gomez. Up next, we can't leave out the big guy himself, Krampus. I think everyone knows who Krampus is. If you know anything about Christmas at all, you've probably heard of Krampus. This one is by Brom. I think this one is sort of a different take on Krampus a little bit. I know this one is set in Appalachia, and I think Krampus, and this one's sort of depicted as more like this demonic trickster villain, almost kind of like a Loki figure in a way. And I think maybe Santa is not so nice, and he's a bit more naughty, and maybe the main character is fighting Krampus and Santa. I'm not really sure. I haven't read it yet, but I haven't read any of Brom's stuff. But I really want to. I really want to read his witch book, Slewfoot, which looks awesome. And I think he does all the artwork himself. I believe he's an artist. The cover and the interior art for these books is gorgeous. But Krampus is one. I've had that one on my list for quite a while now. I haven't read it yet. Maybe this will be the year I get to it. We shall see. But I do love a good Krampus story. The movie Krampus was a lot of fun. The one, I think it was the same director that did the Trick or Treat movie, which is one of my all-time favorite Halloween movies. But that's getting off subject. But Krampus by Brom, definitely check that one out if you haven't read that one yet. Next up is Secret Santa by Andrew Schaefer. This one sounds like a lot of fun. The little tagline is Stephen King meets The Office. And for this one, the main character works in the publishing industry in the 80s when horror was really big. And it's her sort of job to find the next big Stephen King, the next big Anne Rice, things like that. And she's at her holiday Christmas party. They're exchanging Secret Santa gifts. Someone gives her a cursed gift, and then madness ensues. All the coworkers start to die, and she's trying to find out who her Secret Santa is and what this gift is, and try to figure out what this curse may be. This one sounds like a lot of fun too. Any book that's sort of about publishing, even though it's maybe fictional or like satire, is always a lot of fun for me, in my opinion. So this one sounds fun too. And I think Andrew Schaefer, I believe he's a fellow Kentuckian. I think he's out of Louisville. So got to represent Kentucky. This one is Secret Santa by Andrew Schaefer. These next two are sort of similar, so I'm going to group them together. There is Return of the Living Elves by Brian Asman, and if you can't tell by the play on the title, that's sort of a play on Return of the Living Dead. So this one's all about zombie elves coming back and wreaking mayhem and havoc and stuff. Probably super fun, pulpy read. And then the other one that has to do with elves, I don't know if this one's out yet or not. If it is, it just recently came out. It is Christmas Eve Carnage by John Lynch. This one also has to do with a killer elf involved as well. Both of these, like I said, sound super pulpy and fun and just like quick, short reads for Christmas time, the holiday season. I'm sure they're both bonkers and kind of wild. And I know John Lynch, I'm pretty sure he leans towards more the extreme side, the extreme horror stuff. So if you're into extreme horror, maybe check out his book, Christmas Eve Carnage. Get some killer elves in your system for the holidays. What do we have here? Let me look at my list. I think I've only got 2 left. I've got 3 left, and these are all either anthologies or short story collections. So if you're into some short stories, definitely check these out. There's Seasons Creepings by Ronald Kelly. Ronald Kelly, his stuff is very pulpy as well, and I mean that in a good way. I really love his stuff. He was a big 80s horror paperback author back in the 80s, and then he's since revitalized his career writing a lot of stuff recently. So there's Seasons Creepings by Ronald Kelly. Definitely check it out. I like Ronald's work. There is Hark, the Herald Angels Scream, which is an anthology of Christmas horror. And then if you're wanting to go sort of old school, go back to like Victorian, there's the Victorian Ghost Stories anthology. I come to think of it, a lot of those Victorian stories a lot of them are ghost stories. So these are all sort of Victorian ghost stories set around Christmas time or the holidays. So if you're looking for something shorter to read, squeeze in a story or two between your Christmas dinner and going to the in-laws' house and opening presents and all that stuff, check out some of those collections or anthologies. Squeeze in a couple short stories this holiday season. But I think that's it. I think that's everything I wrote down on my list. So hopefully some of these sound enticing to you. You can squeeze in some some horror goodness, some spooky goodness that's Christmas themed, holiday themed here before the end of the year with Christmas coming up. But if any of these sound good to you, let me know what you're going to be reading down in the comments. If you have any other Christmas themed horror books that you've read or enjoyed, let me know as well. But that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you for spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad. I'll talk to y'all later. And Merry Christmas. Bye.